Thanks for the introduction indeed. Here today I represent the EAAE, European Association for Architectural Education. I will tell you a few things about the association, the engagement of our association with the European Bauhaus. I will name a few challenges that are related to the education of future professionals in architecture and the built environment. And I will, at the end of the presentation, connect with some projects that we are doing together. Well, this association is an international non-profit membership-based association, and we have members in 34 countries, so also outside the European Union, and in total about 150 members. And we also, our main intent is to advance the quality of architectural education in general, but also to generating information and exchanging knowledge about aspects that are connected to architectural education and research in the architecture domain in general. Well, we do that by means of several activities. Of course, I'm not the only one as president. I have a council of 11 people. All around Europe, yes. Just showing, this is a table just showing the number of events that we do. We have a council meeting every month. We have network events, but that we actually do in some of them are connecting with other network associations. The ACSA, ARCC in the Americas. We also have a sister organization in Australia, New Zealand, and Oceania. And but also we connect with other organizations of other disciplines and with professional organizations like ACE, the Architect Council of Europe, where we organize regularly meetings and conferences together, and a number of other events that are also targeting some of the issues that are important in our field. Well, I won't dwell too long, but architecture is quite a multifaceted, let's say, multifaceted discipline. We're tapping into a lot of different sciences, more exact sciences, formal sciences, so-called natural sciences, humanities, social sciences, but also into more the applied field of sciences. So we are a little bit the bridge makers, or by default architecture is composed by a lot of fragments that are all brought together, and this is architectural education. It has been always like that, in fact. But what we've been doing in the past few years, because of this nature of architecture, we knew, of course, by means of talking to our members, but also by means of our own experience, that architects are doing many other things than just the work of the architect that we just have in our mind. And we have been running a project called Architecture's Afterlife. That project is about what is actually somebody graduating from a faculty of architecture doing in his own life. And it appears that throughout Europe, just on average, 40% of our graduates are doing other jobs, or at least jobs that we don't connect per se to the realm of architects, or they don't have to be even registered as architects to do the jobs they do. It's 40%, so it's just a figure to keep in mind. Just keep that in mind. ACE, just a glimpse into ACE. ACE, they have fantastic documents. If you don't know the Architectic Council of Europe, just give a glimpse, because they produce every 4 years very detailed overview of what is happening in the field, what is happening in the professional field. Things are going quite well. Number of architects are increasing. Female architects is almost 50%. And also a number of people employed full-time is also increasing. But not everything is as, let's say, happy as you might think. And so for that I want to propose this one of the many tables in this report, actually, but one very peculiar table by means of which you can understand that out of the 150,000 offices throughout the European Union where architects are working, almost 60% of that offices are composed by 1 or 2 people. If we stretch that to 5 people, it's going to 75% almost. So that gives you the picture, the reality of what is a professional architect, how is that looking like. And this is a very important way of having an understanding of what architects do. What kind of dimension, what kind of scale are we talking about? This is not a new thing. This has, of course, waves, so that percentage is moving a little bit, but it's going from 60 to 75 to 65 to 70, so we know that 2/3 of our graduates will end up working at most in an office with 3 people. That's something very important to keep in mind. So when we get back to the pillars of the new European Bauhaus, sustainable, beautiful, and together, these are, to me, a very important way of bringing together domains that, normally speaking, in the realm of sciences, but also in the realm of funding by the European Union, are detached to one another. Because sustainability is Green Deal, is performance related mainly, if you look at funding. If you go to the other realm, aesthetics is in the realm of arts mainly, but also into realms that are not per se connected to the performance related feature of the Green Deal. And together is more in social sciences, more towards how can we do that together in the policy. These 3 things are brought together. It's quite a unique moment. The European Union is deciding to put 3 pillars together, not without, let's say, challenges, because it's challenging. When you read the goals, when you read about what kind of things have to be brought together, it's quite challenging. On top of that, the challenges that I was naming you before is coming as another layer on top of that. So things are getting more and more multifaceted, more complex, and we are talking about professionals that work alone, or maybe in a pair. So that's the type of thing that we have to keep in mind when we look at the new European Bauhaus. But what is also fantastic about this is that there is an understanding that those values have to be brought and developed up to the small grain of professionals that are operating in the field. So this is something quite important, that is part of the mission that we have as EAAE, how we bring those values at that very small scale that is addressing the most of our professionals, in fact. So during the pandemic, we started to put together all these disciplines that you can imagine out of the scheme before. So we connected with engineers, network association of engineers, with artists, like network, like ILIA, but also with cultural entities. And we had 17 network associations that formed this new European Bauhaus collective, and we used to meet actually every month, online, strictly online. We couldn't move, we couldn't travel. And all together we decided to devote our energy to this conference, Common Ground, making the renovation wave a cultural project. In that big conference, there were almost 1,000 attendees online. We developed several labs, and those labs were thematic, ranging from research to education, but also to some of the challenges. Some of them even developed a kind of word cloud in a very sketchy way. Uncertainty in the middle, it's a word that is, let's say, getting a lot of connotations nowadays, just to give it another kind of color, a clue. And I was involved in lab number 2, educating for the built environment, and in that lab we kind of agreed that yes, lifelong learning, educating also the professional is important, but what is even more important is life-wide learning. So to widen the concept of education and to also talk to average laymen, citizens, people of all ages, and try to involve them in the educational activities that we develop. I'm just listing some of the takeaways of that conference, and I highlighted with red yellow things that I think it's very important to focus about. Well-being. This morning I was so glad that the colleague was naming the well-being of woodworkers. Well-being of architects. I don't know if some of you visited the last Biennale in Venice, the Polish pavilion, talking about what kind of depression level students of architecture are going through. This is something that is portraying in their profession too. That's something very important. How we do things together, but how do we focus our well-being? Focus on the learners. So we have to focus much more on the learners. Of course, we know that there are challenges in what has to be learned, but the condition of the learners and who are the learners, in which way we can actually catch their attention, it's a much more important issue today. It's not a kind of new thing, but it's getting more and more on the agenda of the education institutions. How to connect better to the learners and, in a way, empower the learner. Creating the conditions. This is something that we've heard a lot this morning. I think that's very important also when we talk about education. So not everything has to be done top-down, not everything from the same institutions. Things have to be merged and initiatives have to come about to create the right conditions to empower the learners. And a shift. This is important. This is something that we will have to work also with the other network organizations. We have fantastic lists of knowledge and competences that have to be complied with, that have to be attained in order to do our profession. But in fact, there are other skills that we need to develop. Dispositions, attitude, and approach. These things are almost never listed as prominent in those lists. So this is a work that we have to do also with the one in charge of the European laws in our field. And that's something that has to happen. Just a few initiatives. NEB Go South is an initiative, let's say, pushing the principle of the new European Bauhaus in a number of EAAE institutions in the southern Europe. And of course, just to show you some of the matters, the climate zone, the forest art risks, but also the social exclusion, poverty, and also, let's say, the depopulating areas that we have around the Mediterranean. Those are just a few of the challenges that are at stake and are on the agenda of NEB Go South. We dedicated a full annual conference of the EAAE about on the new European Bauhaus. That was the conference of 2022 in Madrid. There are books published, the book of abstract you can find online, and there is also a book of proceedings that is issued a few months ago. And we are working also on education, enlarging, let's say, this concept into circularity in a broader terms. How do we embrace circularity? How do we measure circularity? A lot of this word has came about this morning a number of times, and I think it's important to understand all the angles of that. What does it really mean? 2 years ago, we've been organizing a symposium in Delft together with EAAE about that, and we are going to do a follow-up just in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, so 28th of November, and we do that with a number of institutions throughout Europe to try to establish the Circularity Educators Network. So people that is really putting circularity in the middle of what they do in terms of educating. It's not only about architects, there are also other people interested in that concept. And just to finish, I will name the engagement that EAAE has in project cooperation. Of course, we do care about our future professionals, and we do embrace the principle of the European Bauhaus. And by means of that, we are part of 2 projects, and we hope to be part to other projects in the future. One is digiNEB. digiNEB is basically making an inventory of the digital initiatives, the digital tools that are available out there, and putting them together in order to make them accessible, findable, and usable by these professionals that work, in fact, in small offices. And also, we are trying to devote attention to the accessibility and also the affordability of those tools. It's for free. Do you have to enroll? Do you have to pay a small fee? Whatever. And we have been holding a number of workshops about that, and also about ethical issues that are connected with the digital, let's say, challenges that we have nowadays. And the second one is New European Bauhaus Alliance. I won't dwell too much because I think Andreja will explain you ins and outs of this project, but we are very glad to be part of this very ambitious project in which we would like to establish a solid network to build on and to really work on the education of these future professionals and enlarging the messages also to, let's say, the already operating professionals in the existing built environment agency. Thank you very much. I hope.
Do we have any questions for Roberto?
I have
Yeah.
one.
Right.
So I'm part of the Wood4Bauhaus part of today, and we were accused is really a strong word, but we were challenged that architects aren't enough part of us. So how should we become enough part of you? How do we get our wood message to the architects?
Well, I think, let's say in a very concrete and direct way, you could contact ACE. ACE is really the, let's say, overarching organization in Europe, connecting to all the registration offices of all the European Union countries. So they have really direct connections with those registration offices. So they know where the professionals are and where they are enrolled. But we'll be also very glad to do through the EAAE, because we really challenge also what we could do to make these improvements in architectural education in general, and how we could use knowledge that is produced elsewhere to bring it in our member schools. So I'd be glad to be connected with them.
Okay, thank you.
Well, if I may, I actually contacted ACE on behalf of Wood4Bauhaus, but received no response. That was a while ago. So it's great to see that we have a contact that, so that we...
Yes, I don't work for ACE,
No.
but I mean, we are connect. I know people that are working there. But what would work is to contact the contact agency of some of the European countries that are in your network, and let them contact their contact person in their country, and out of them, because each European country has a contact person for ACE. So ACE is also a kind of membership organization, and they have representatives in all our countries. So go through them, and you will have a little bit more success, I think. Because they are at the table in Brussels, here in Brussels with ACE. Yeah.
Thank you.
A small question on the Circular Educators Network or conference. Is that already going on for a while?
Well, you know, the institutions that I showed in the slides, they have in one way or another already established a network of people within their institutions that are advocating for circular education, circular built environment education, out of different angles and knowledge. And this is a new thing. We would like to enhance also a network of people that are dedicated to that throughout Europe, but not as an isolated network. Actually, we want to put it in parallel or in a cross-pollinating position with other networks. But this requires a little bit of time, but we hope that by connecting that event in Delft with projects like digiNEB and NEBA, we could, let's say, establish a few more synergies in there. Because, you know, what happens every time that each one of us goes to networks like that are very important and interesting days, and then you get back to the usual and daily business. And I think that is something there that could happen, in which way we can make it a little bit becoming more part of the picture, and so also getting more people on board, because basically is actually what we need to do. And the messages are okay, but we need more people on board to carry the message. Yeah.
Andreja?
Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. And obviously I knew that architects are usually 1, 2, 3 people, but at the same time you kind of opened my eyes right now when thinking, because we are always trying to reach them, and now I wonder what's the platform to reach them. One is ACE, that we could do that, but then how it's because being one-man band, if I say so, you know, you need to do the work, you need to be taking care of the finances and so on. And is there anything you would recommend to us how to make a message, which was earlier emphasized, we want to connect more with architects, that we can actually reach them?
Yes, I think we were talking with a colleague during lunch break. In many of our countries there is an obligation by architects, but also by other professional organizations to have a training, or lifelong learning training throughout the year. In certain countries, 2 days per year, other countries 72 hours, it's all different. Some countries it's not controlled. So I know in the Netherlands, where I work and live, there is an obligation, but nobody controls. The registration openly said, we don't control, we trust on you, you just do it, we know that you are doing fine. So I think What really matters is that this training and this lifelong learning opportunities are done in a certain way that could be seen as an investment of time in the right direction. It doesn't make sense to bring only architects all together, and drink a cup of coffee and having a beer at the end of the afternoon. I think, it could be fine, but maybe you have to do also something that connects them to other kind of opportunities, other kind of fields, other kind of realms. Why keeping that within the professional network organization? Why we don't enlarge it? Why we don't have also people from the industry, from, let's say, from other fields in the built environment, which is quite a wide thing. So this kind of, let's say, interdisciplinary lifelong learning program should be getting a little bit more boost. And I think that could be a chance to get more architects there. There is another challenge that I didn't put in the slide. You can find out about by yourself, but I cannot come to more than 8 to 10% max in the built environment transformations and buildings. So max that percentage has an involvement of architects. The rest, 90%, is done by somebody else. So there we have also kind of, another kind of field to deepen. How do we get that percentage a little bit higher? Because whenever there is an involvement of architects, we know there is a professional that has at least heard about these values, and that's also the field that we are talking about. Where are the architects? Are they being involved or not at all? So that's maybe another kind of discussion, but that's, I think, that really matters in our field. Yeah. It's also a kind of scary percentage. When you look at that, it's like, wow, so shallow, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to share with you. I've been mentioning it earlier already, but we'll try to kind of guide you through where we started and where we are going. And so when it was first announced that we need academy because we need knowledge and skills to actually build differently, we had the opportunity that we host a workshop in Slovenia in March 2023, where different stakeholders were involved, and we were discussing what the academy should be. And actually, the first hub of the new European Bauhaus Academy was established then at the University of Primorska in Slovenia. That was somehow like trying to look at these values of new European Bauhaus that are, of course, very closely related to the ambition of the European Commission towards the green transition and the Green Deal. So together, beautiful and sustainable, this is something that is guiding us, and I actually said all of this now already. I forgot to go through the slides before coming up here, but we should be aware that we have a really high level of political support to this. And so when the built environment and kind of the use of bio-based materials in the built environment was emphasized, it was realized that we do not have enough skills, and therefore the new European Bauhaus Academy was announced. Since we are a small group, it's recorded, but anyhow this will not go widely out, but still I would share that also in the future this NEB will be having a huge effort, a huge position in the Commission. I've been just now with some people, and it's going to be moved to the Climate and Circular Economy unit, and it's going to be an important aspect of the new DG the new kind of ambition of the European Commission, which is the housing. But anyhow, we started this academy also as a workshop, and we were discussing what is actually the need, and this was the last March. So this is why I'm saying this is super new, and like if people are asking what the academy is, it's like, well, we're not running so long, and still at that time already we had the ambition that this is just kind of like a seed, And we have a council board that many people also in this room are actually part of, so it's an international group in this hub in Slovenia. And we focus on the sustainable built environments. And several activities were already kind of implemented, and I would like to emphasize, because I don't have any slides, it's the LIFE project that is coordinated by University of Genova, and where the training, the materials, webinars are being prepared specifically for architects based on the rules of an architecture chamber in Italy. So there are webinars available in English as well as in Italian language, and the architects can get the points, and so it's already available online, and the LIFE project is enabling this. But New European Bauhaus Academy Alliance. So what's our mission? Now, now you can test me if I know it by heart. Unfortunately, I will say no. I need to turn around a bit, or someone can help me. So it's to train, upskill, and reskill the construction ecosystem to achieve a carbon-neutral building sector and a beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive transformation of the built environment. So this is what we target at the same time. So we have the ambition that in 2 years we have academy that is a new legal structure. It's academy on the European level that is offering trainings, and this in these 2 years also to do some pilot trainings to see how it can actually work, you know, and also how to deliver the trainings in different languages, which is one of the big challenges that we have. In 5 years, we want to be the ones really delivering micro-credentials throughout, meaning that this lifelong learning that is coming into the term micro-credentials, it's going to be provided by the NEB Academy throughout Europe, and for the lifelong learning of not only architects, but the whole construction ecosystem. And in 10 years, we want to be beyond Europe, and we want to be the strong voice in the European Union's developments of future policies that will enable, of course, the decarbonized or the new built environment that we want to live in. So, but for who we want to do the trainings, and it's when we talk in simple sentences or short sentences, we say for construction ecosystem, and this is a simple word to say, but at the same time, you know, who all needs this? Because if we only focus on the lifelong learning, then we will be always doing the lifelong learning. So we need to also be doing the changing of curriculums, and we need to be training the trainers that are actually creating the future generations. So it's education, training, academia, as well as the public bodies and policies. So today it was really nicely seen. We have many great examples throughout Europe, but now we need to somehow transfer this to also others where maybe they don't have that much trust into the bio-based materials. Then it's construction ecosystem and the private sector, and the ones that actually need to at the end build, and general public as the ones that should be demanding this, I would say. So they should be trusting this, or they want to be part of living in this kind of environments. So the NEB Academy, as I was earlier also saying, it's kind of like with a high political also support, and the launching of this academy, although legal entity does not exist yet, but the Alliance project it does, was at here in Brussels at the festival by the commissioner, and we had really a lot of communication also from their side to the public, and hopefully this support will continue to be given to us, maybe through the NEB facility that is starting next year with 120 million euros in 2025, and the first course I just learned will be in May 2025. And who all we are behind was already earlier in the slide given. So, but what I would here emphasize maybe is that we need to spread. We need to be throughout the Europe, you know, because something that is relevant in Spain might not be relevant in Finland or Sweden, and at the same time we should support one another. So this is I think it's 14 of us of different research institutions, private as well as public institutions and associations that are establishing the NEB Academy Hub. The NEB Academy formed through the hubs. And just 2 weeks ago, I think, we were in Tallinn celebrating that we came up with the first kind of like structure and commitments of different institutions. So so far we have 5 new European Bauhaus Academy hubs. One is our in Slovenia that is having satellites in Austria and in Poland. Then we have a central hub that is quite German focused, and then it's the South Hub that has an Institute of Advanced Architecture of Catalonia, CESEPOR, Liguria region. We have also representative here. Then we have the North Hub with RISE, ALTO and ECA. So from RISE we will be also today hearing more about the North Hub. And then what we have is the outreach hub that Camilla would together with the European architecture. Oh my God, we need to learn, we need to test what all the A's mean. Architecture, education, and association. Okay, yeah, okay. And this also the Alliance of Bioeconomy. And so far, how does it look like that the business model will be? And we are, of course, testing this. Is that it's going to be hosted at the University of Primorska, and which will be signing the affiliated members will become other hubs. And we are going to have the steering committee, advisory board that will be external, and of course it's designed such that it can grow, that also other hubs can be joining. It's part of the development and testing. The reason why we want to have one academy is that because European Commission also needs one entry point, you know, to then further spread. So it would be like a spider, if I say so. And what is coming next is that we are going to, in January, publish an open call for cascade grant. So in the grant that we have to establish the academy, we also have the cascading, so that others, you know, there is way more than 14 of us out there that can participate and contribute to the development of the NEB Academy. And to conclude, what's very important is that we are also looking at what to create to make it public, to make it very accessible, and so there will be an online platform where the training materials will be available, but at the same time what emphasizes that there are 3 levels of the trainings. One is the awareness raising, meaning that people participate, they learn, also the content is less complex. Then there are trainings that are delivering the certificates of attendance of the trainings, meaning someone listened but no one tested if they obtained a certain competence. And the third one is the competence. So meaning that it's the same as today when we go to university, we get a diploma at the end, so we have a proof that we have a certain competence. And with these micro-credentials that are still under development throughout Europe, we believe that it is also possible that we are going to be giving the acknowledgements, the public documents that a certain specific skill that is relevant for the built environment will be acquired. And with that, I would like to thank you and show you the painting of our colleague that created it when we were having a kickoff meeting of this conference in Isola. He was walking around us, and that's how he saw the NEB Academy Consortium. Now we have the pleasure to have this painting in our building. I said I'm going to assure it's going to become a very expensive and famous painting, so that we can. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. Do we have any questions for Andrea?
Yes, first of all, thank you for the presentation. Of course, I'm delighted to hear that the NEB will be still top on the agenda in the second term of President von der Leyen. We know that the new college will work less in silos, more horizontally. So you mentioned circularity, climate, housing. We know that housing will be linked with digiNEB, energy. We know that new European Bauhaus was only mentioned in the mission letter of Mrs. Roswell for DG Environment. But so when you say it's going to be higher on the agenda or higher up the structure of the Commission, can I assume that it will go up to Vice President designate Rivera?
Well, I hope so, and the reason why I'm so positive that this will happen is because there is Expo 2025 in Osaka next year, and European Commission wants to present to every single person who steps into the pavilion that European Union is new European Bauhaus.
Wow.
And so this is something that I believe it's important, and we should assure that we also get our spot there as a sector. And there are several pavilions of different countries that will be wooden, and I think that that would be super important that we also communicate it there. But at the same time, why they are doing this is because they want to have NEB going also out of Europe. And I think that also today when it was nicely presented that we go wood for globe. If we want to really save the planet, if I say so, it's important we go beyond the borders of Europe.
Any further questions for Andreja? Yes, please.
Yes. Hello, I'm Camilla. I work for the Cities Northern Netherlands, so I work for the public authority. So we're more focused on the new European Bauhaus facility, and we're super interested in it. And I was wondering what kind of role the Academy can also play in the facility, and would it be possible to also collaborate with the Academy on, for example, research and more like place-based innovation of these kind of projects?
We answered this question once today, and this is like, when doing the new type of buildings, if I say new type, because we should really make a transition, we obviously need to be aware that there is a huge need for research and innovation, and all the projects that are going to be financed through the facility, they shouldn't aim just to finish the project and have a result and a deliverable somewhere. There should be a training material of a new developed solutions that goes into the NEB Academy and is spread further.
Clive, I think you had a question.
It was more of a throwaway observation, so
That's not like you.
Let's see this.
it's getting towards the end of the day. It's in favor of education. I went to a conference some years ago when CLT was quite new, and somebody presented building with CLT. You could build a house, and there was a traditional home builder who really didn't like the presentation, and he was trying to make the point. He said, okay, very good, very good. So you build your house with CLT, great, okay. What about if you want to hang a picture? How do you do that? You put a nail in and you can do that. Yeah, you can, it's wood. Oh. So, to say there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think the more we can educate everybody, obviously from my perspective, from the side of wood, the better. So.
Yeah.
Full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Andreja.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon from my side. My name is Višnja Košćak. I represent Cluster Styria, where I am project manager for internationalization and cooperation. And about the cluster and about the Styrian region and the importance of the forestry, wood processing industry and building with wood, you have already heard from my colleague Alexandra Pinter in the morning. And in this presentation I will just focus on bridging this skills gap and also what we are doing in this direction in reskilling and upskilling of our sector. So we are one of the 17 partners of the Habitable project. And Habitable project is actually also from the 6 countries, just to say, coordinated by Spain, then is Portugal, Austria, Greece and two outreaching countries are Georgia and Moldova, and we actually gathered because of the shortage of the skilled workers in habitat sector. When we are talking about habitat sector, it's not just the construction, it's also all the living spaces, also in manufacturing is also a part of the habitable sector, resources, wood and other resources, but also furniture and other sectors are part of this habitable hyper sector, we say it. So we started with a project in the middle of last year, 2023, and we will end in May 2027. It's a budget of 5 million euros and it's funded by European Union. Yeah, so the need for the Habitable project is actually shortage of the skilled workers, especially in the digital and green transition. And in other hand, we see that the students and pupils are having trainings that don't meet the expectations of the market and of the companies. So the trainings and curricula are very slowly to change. What we want to do in Habitable project. So in one hand, it will be a repository of digital tools, documents, spaces, also digital spaces and platforms for the skills, for the jobs, for the training offers in Habitable sector. So we have these four functional areas. In one hand, we committed to build this also center of excellence in different specialities. So, and getting on this parts, Smart SIP, we will build up Smart Skills Intelligence platform with different online digital tools that will have information, up-to-date information about the jobs, about the labor markets, about the skills, and also sectoral map of the skills and the jobs, and also we'll have a training offer panel. So the panel of the training offer of vocational education and training in the digital and green transition. So the update information about this. Another part we will focus in the project is on dual online center. So the German-speaking countries are very known for dual education because half of the education is happening in the educational organization and half of the education is happening in the companies. So the partner countries also would like to transfer and adapt this kind of dual learning in their own regions. And we will also build up the collaborative partnership, a platform for the partnership between the business and between the education. So, in one hand, we will also share on this platform best practices. There are so many different business education partnerships that we have already identified, and there are many more. And we will prepare this also for the online platform. We will also, we started already to work out the program for the trainers in the companies, because in the dual training, the companies, some of the employers of the companies are trainers for the people that are coming for the training for this half of the period of the education. So we will train the trainer in the companies and offer this kind of trainings in other countries. The Skills Hub will be also a multifunctional online platform that will support also the skills strategy, but also will have skills training, also certification and career guidance. So this will really be very comprehensive and a big platform with the information and the training on the digital and green transformation. And then there's the last part, Habitat Skills Ecosystem, we said, and this is actually where we as a Center of Vocational Excellence on Habitable want to connect with other networks, with other partners, and to also exchange. And the challenges and the challenges that we actually see and identify in the projects, in the skill development. We will also address this in this part, and we will build skills ecosystem innovation tank. So the identified challenges, we will have also a working group working on these challenges and working out the solutions, and also transferring this solution, testing this solution, and making prototypes in the field of skills, upskilling and reskilling. And also there will be also co-creation lab, where we also want to develop further in the projects on the topics that are very relevant on skill reskilling and upskilling. So this is really very fast through the Habitable project, because we are at the beginning of the project. As you may see, it will be really it is a very promising project. Please follow us, get in contact with us. In 1.5, 2 years, we will have much more to show. What I would like to just mention, what we already done in another projects is actually we focused on continuous training of construction workers on the wood construction site. So with 4 other countries, we developed the vocational training materials on timber construction. So these materials are already available on this upwoodproject.eu. It was also funded by the European Union, by Erasmus Plus program. And not just that, we have in 5 different languages. We have it also guidelines for integration into vocational training and a guide for trainers. So you can also download this part from this from this web page. And some of the training materials are gamified. It means so the people can really try out and test. So there's, for example, do's and don'ts on construction site, on wood construction site. So to also have the innovative tools for learning and education. And somebody already mentioned that we have in Austria really specialized on university level professorships for architecture and building with wood. And the first one was installed in 2016 in Graz, on our Technical University of Graz. So that the students of the architecture already learn about architectural in wood and wood construction. Now we decided to develop a program for the further education of the architects that are already working and civil engineers that are already working, that can make lifelong or do the lifelong learning. For now we developed 2 courses that are also with credentials, with microcredits. So for one course that will last 10 weeks, it's on fundamentals of building with wood. So that means for architects and civil engineers that really don't have any idea about wood construction, they start with this, for example, course. They get also credentials, 15 ACTs, so micro-credentials, or also a certificate called CIS, that is very also known in Switzerland, is a certificate of advanced studies on timber constructions. It means that with this and this, for example, another course is on timber construction and building services, also it lasts 10 weeks. Partly is online, partly is on-site, and partly is working on a project. So it's very practical oriented. Then with 2 of them, participants can get also DAS, Diploma of Advanced Studies. And the idea is actually, and our intention is to build up 5 such courses in one master program. So afterwards, the civil engineers will have a possibility to have the Master of Advanced Science in continuous training in wood building and architecture. So everybody or anybody who is interested can join. For now it's in German, but we have also interest in future to build it up in English language. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Višnja. Any questions for Višnja?
Yes.
Thank you so much, and I obviously now I'm not surprised why your region is so successful, because you have the legislation, you have the training, so everything is there. But one question I have is like how the companies or the architects who have this chance, is there anything that you do that they can afford to send someone to be trained? You know, because I'm always like, well, we're companies are busy, they need to do daily work. At the same time, they know they should go into the reskilling and or like upgrading their knowledges. But I wonder if maybe even you have something in place that the companies can afford to be without a person for a week or for a few hours in a month, for example.
Yes, really it is very difficult to motivate. So we hear from every side, it's so interesting, it's great, we would like to be, and then so the people, to motivate people to be there is also then difficult. Everybody's saying, yes, we need, we didn't develop this, and then you're just, you're really putting a lot of effort again to get the participants. In a way we have possibility, there is a 30% of funding from region for the further education, and there is from national funding that the companies can get a 60% funding, so it's really not so expensive from the cost side. And there is also one other program for the companies, where the companies, for example, now we have a crisis, economical crisis, for example, in the building sector, so the companies can use, this is from the Arbeiterkammer is workers' chamber, when they want to, instead of letting the people or letting people hire them, they have possibility to send them for the education, and then the chamber of workers are paying for them partly to educate themselves, and so the company is not losing people, but are having
training, competences, more or less.
Yeah. So there are possibilities.
Great. I think we should probably move on to the next one, so thank you very much.
I'm filling in, sort of. There was a late switch. My dear colleague Marlene Johansson, she couldn't make it, and we got a little bit lost in translation with all presentation and prepare slides. So I had no time to prepare the right slides for today. So I will use another presentation that I have, but it's partly in Swedish, and I will skip a couple of the slides as well. But I will try to make sense for you anyway. I'm an architect, as you can tell from the blank term here, maybe. But I work at RISE at the moment, and RISE is the Research Institute of Sweden, and it's a really big research institute. I think it's one of the biggest ones in Europe, actually, because they, a couple of years ago, they joined a lot of, I think it was 30 different research institutes in Sweden, and they joined them into one, and that is now Research Institute of Sweden, that is RISE. And I've been working there for 2 years as a project and innovation manager, but I am an architect also. And I'm going to talk to you, tell you a little bit about how we work with the new European Bauhaus Academy there, and also the in the North Hub that we are establishing or have established. First of all, the Swedish, in Sweden and at RISE at first, we have really benefit from the old new European Bauhaus movement, because we have seen that before, or I mean, there is a lack of collaboration between those different sectors. And at RISE, we're a really big institution, and there are technical expertise, there are people working with social sustainability, there are architects, there are designers, and New European Bauhaus has really made us come together and work more closely together. So for us it's been really good, and it's really high on the agenda for our organization to develop this further. And what I have here, this is actually in English, although maybe a little bit too small for you to read, but this is Strategic Advantages and Policy Alignment, Sweden's engagement in the New European Bauhaus Initiative. And what it says is really, it aligns with some other really important policies in Sweden that we are looking into as well. The Politiken för gestaltad livsmiljö, the policy for designed living environments. So there is already a framework of policies for this that aligns very well with European Bauhaus. And the Swedish government is therefore quite involved as well, and they know about the European Bauhaus. So it's anchored in 3 Swedish government ministries: the Ministry of Rural Affairs and Infrastructure, the Ministry of Education and Research, and the Ministry of Culture, ensuring Ministry of Culture, and also, of course, the Ministry of National Board of Housing. This is my colleague Albert. He has made a Swedish sense-making map, and sometimes I make fun of it and say that it's a nonsense-making map because it's sort of like it's everywhere. But why we have done this and why he has done it, it's really, when looking into it, it's an important map because it maps out all the other sort of levels of where other policies and initiatives align with New European Bauhaus in a Swedish context. And we have looked at this, we showed it to the NEB Alliance partners, but also, of course, in the North Hub, and they are doing the same thing because the New European Bauhaus, I mean, it's a top-down, but it's also bottom-up. We are creating this North Hub, and we work together, but we are also 3 very different entities that have our own play field to understand and to finance our education. So this is mapping out how it relates to for example, the 4 governmental agencies that are responsible for politics for the design living environment that I mentioned before, and also the strategic R&D programs in Sweden and the founders, possible founders, and we have quite a good relationship and dialogue with these organizations and ministries for developing this. Like I said, we are developing it was called the Nordic Hub, but we changed it to the North Hub because it also involves the Baltic region. And right now we are RISE, Aalto University and ECA, but as Andreja said, we are also reaching out to growing bigger. But right now we started off at a meeting in Stockholm in October, and that's when we sort of launched the starting of our hub. And then, or that was in September, and then a couple of weeks ago we were all in Tallinn meeting there, and in January we were planning another meeting together with our national contact point of NEB in the North Hub, so that we will try to continue this discussion of how we can build both from the top level, like going for the EU funding and so forth, but also how we can develop this within our own countries. Just a short glimpse of what we're doing at RISE at the moment, because we're doing this NEB Alliance project, but we also have a project for the National Board of Housing in Sweden to develop 4 pilot training, digital pilot trainings, and we launched 4 packages actually, where 2 has to do with wood construction. It's called Timber on Top and Wood First. This one up here. And we've developed that one together with the industry. and we're trying to work as close as possible with the industry as well, or at least in dialogue with them to see and map out what is the actual need of the industry and what skills are lacking. But we're not only developing trainings in wood construction, is also looking into the design process and how it has to evolve and develop to be able to handle these questions throughout the building process and design process. Also about how the built environment affects our health and well-being as human beings, and also how we can work and plan more inclusively. Yeah, I guess I will stop there.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We have a few more minutes for questions. Any questions for Camilla?
I wonder for whom they are, the trainings. They're specifically for architects? Or
No, there is a wide range of, we try to differentiate the target groups. Where there are 2 for architects and also real estate developers. The wood construction, we are also right now developing training packages for the construction site, like how to actually handle the wood at the construction site. And we have also applied for funding to create a more like interactive education for how to work at the construction site, although it's digital, so like how you can actually educate people online, but in more, what do you say, like practical matters, so we try to differentiate it. That's our goal, and also to involve other actors. Like right now, we have developed 3 of the packages, and there are 2 other organizations developing material as well. So we're looking into it, like to broaden ourselves.
I have a question about the role of your contact points for the NEB.
Yeah.
So what is their role in, you think, bringing all of these hubs to fruition, in your case, in the north?
For us, it's been really valuable for us to have the National Board of Housing as a contact point, and they also have had a budget for us, or like, and that's why we have been able to create these training packages. And we are trying to like connect these different national contact points on a hub level as well, so they can have a dialogue on how to develop the academy further and the collaboration. So that's the goal.
That's really great. Okay. Any other questions for Camilla? Pasi?
Maybe a comment/question. Everybody has talked a little bit about training architects, constructors in the industry. My question is, should we have more training for the professors in the architectural educations? Just thinking back to some of my colleagues that are also then not updating maybe themselves at all times. So the question is really maybe focus more on also people who are educating the youth that will be in the construction site in 2 years. Maybe that might be more focused on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Question mark?
I think so. We had a student challenge, actually, a NEB design challenge earlier this year, and it was quite clear that they are not so trained in thinking like, it was a rebuild challenge, like use what you have, and then I think it's probably getting there, but it needs to be like a mind shift on actually using what we already have and not always like starting new. And I think there's absolutely could be a lack of knowledge within they're already established academies.
I understand that mind shifting professors might be a uphill battle at some point.
No, but there are a lot of academies involved, so I guess the discussion is vivid.
Maybe we have very summer schools where we have, for example, for the groups of the teachers and students that are not so well developed in wood construction, but we have also professors who are very experienced with wood construction, and they together they work out with the students and really that helps that they develop more in wood construction as a teacher or as a professor. And it was nice. It was not so obvious, training, but it was working together with the students, a very professional one with the knowledge on wood construction, and another that is maybe has an interest on it, and it really we have now, after some years, really great experiences because these teachers.
I think that's a very good approach.
Yeah.
We have we are developing with Holzbau in Austria this train the trainer, and it's such that the trainer will be actually a trainer that and it's for carpentry schools. So it's like any professor will not be able to train the trainers, the teachers, and so, but it's identifying the one that is more advanced and it's up to date to all these digital technologies and so on. And then this person actually trains the others, and we are trying and learning in these models what is best, and of course how to upskill the professors who finally got to the professorship position, right? It's a challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Camilla. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending the session.